Hello my beautiful besties, welcome to my channel or welcome back to my channel. You might notice I have a new background. I am excited to show you guys in my next video or one of my next videos my new bookcase in my new room. Anyway, I am here to say that in April I read a total of 11 books. So out of the 11 books, 4 of them were romance, 3 of them were fantasy, 2 of them were lit fic, 1 science fiction, and 1 horror, which is like the craziest part. And out of those 11 books, 4 of them were audiobooks. So stick around because I think that there are a few books in here that I think everybody should read, and I will be recommending them over and over again. So if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and let's get into it. Starting off not so strong with Fight. This is written by Sloane St. James. This is a firefighter and EMT small town romance with some forced proximity vibes. I did the audiobook version of this and I thought the audiobook itself was good, but I felt like the story it wasn't bad, it wasn't good, it was just very bland. I would describe this as unseasoned chicken. Like literally just throw some chicken into boiling water, and that's what this book kind of was. There was nothing like I really hated about it. It just wasn't exciting for me at all. I will say that the best thing about this book is the cover, and I don't know if you guys know Bradley Thor on TikTok, but I don't know when he came around, but I think it was like during COVID times. He just like started filming videos of himself shirtless, like lumberjacking, like cutting pieces of wood, and he's like tatted up and everything. And I swear every time I saw this cover, like when I was at the bookstore, it would remind me of him. That's like the one thing I was excited to read because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna read the Bradley Thor book. I would not recommend this. I ended up giving this 2.5 stars. Afterwards, I started reading Honeysuckle by Bar Fridman-Tell, and this was amazing. This absolutely exceeded my expectations. This is actually Bar's debut novels, and I was actually disappointed because I was like, I need more from you right after I finished this. So this has some inspiration from a Welsh mythology, Welsh mythology. Bro, I don't know why it's so hard for me to say that. About a flower goddess named Blutaweth, and she's basically created out of like anything you find out in nature that's like fallen and dried and crispy. So like twigs, like dried up flowers, grass, and all that stuff. I would describe this book as a fairy tale gone wrong. So this is about a young boy who is so lonely. He has one older sister, and that's like the only person he plays with. And she gets so frustrated because he's like so annoying, right? That she creates a Blutaweth, basically another friend for him to play with. So this is a catch. So Blutaweth is supposed to wither away at the end of every season, and she's supposed to come and go, but he finds a way to keep her alive over and over again across all those seasons. So this book follows the boy and the Blutaweth flower goddess throughout their childhood, adulthood. This is kind of like where it goes like a little weird, because as a boy goes through puberty, becomes like a man and stuff, he's like, I think my friend should also do the same. So he started creating like body parts for her. And you know what? The things that people hated about this book and DNF'd it on Goodreads is like the exact reason why I love this book. I love weird ass books. If you're looking for something like that, then this is it. I will say that this is very character driven, so if you don't like those kinds of books or stories, then this might not be for you, but I absolutely ate this one. It's one of my top reads I think so far this year, and I rated it 5 stars if you couldn't tell. Next, I read Amid Clowns and Bones by Ella Fields. This is crazy because this is a romantasy standalone under 400 pages. Yeah, like 450 pages, at least with this indie cover. So this is a story about a half human and half fae, and she's forced to marry this guy who's like the biggest asshole in the world, and he's like a full fae guy. And they live in a world where it's like unseelie versus a seelie fae. So you got like the good kind of fae versus the bad. And if you read and you like The Cruel Prince, this has similar vibes to it in terms of like the bulliness, like the evilness of fae. It's not like the, you know, like Akatar kind of like fae. So this one has forced proximity, a lot of hate fucking, it has bullying, like a little bit mild. It's not like Zodiac Academy level of bullying. It has a love triangle. So if you like that kind of stuff, look no further. I thought that this was a vibe read for me. Was it bad? Was it like the best written book ever? I don't think so. I thought that the female main character was kind of annoying. I think like she just took up space in this like universe, but I was still like eating it up. It was definitely a page turner. So if you just need something like a short fantasy book to just like, I don't know, scratch an itch, then I think this one is it. I give this one 4 stars. And then I did something crazy, y'all. I read my very first science fiction book. I read Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, and I feel like I don't even need to describe what this book is about. I will start off with like my very immediate reaction, and it kind of just like pissed me off because this book has so much science in it. It's not like a science textbook, but there's a lot of verbiage about like physics, equations, and for me, like when I'm reading, I really try to understand the concept of it because I feel like there's a reason why he's talking about all these formulas, or like there's Easter eggs, and I was just getting frustrated because I just could not follow along. But then I started talking to my friends and they're like, girl, when you get to those parts, just like completely like listen like over it, like kind of eyeball read those things. And I was like, okay, all right. So after I started doing that, this reading experience got so much better for me. I did do the audiobook though. So if you are going to read this, definitely do the audiobook because I feel like the narrator does such a good job at doing Rocky's voice. I actually watched the movie first, absolutely loved it. I have so many inside jokes with my fiance about this now. I love that movie so much that I wanted to pick this up. So I'm glad I did it because I think if I were going into this book blind and just with all the science and stuff, I think I would have lost interest. I will say though, I think the movie, okay, I think it was like 3 hours, right? And there's so much more to the book that you don't get into the movie, which I completely understand because I think if they try to squeeze every single thing into the movie, it'd be like almost 5 hours. So if you're going to watch or read this, I definitely recommend doing both. Maybe if you're someone like me, watch it first, then read the book because I had such a great time. I ended up giving this 4 stars. I took off a star just because of the whole science portion of it, but aside from that, this was so amazing. And then I read A Reaper at the Gates by Sabaa Tahir. This is book number 3 in the Ember and the Ashes series. I feel like this entire series is like the blueprint of what a really good YA fantasy series should be like. This kind of reminds me in terms of like this writing style of Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn. That's not YA, that one is just like fantasy, but I feel like they're very similar in terms of just like how well written they are. The pacing is incredible, the characters are like likable, but you also hate them. There's just so much emotion that I get from these characters, and I just feel like, I don't know what it is, but lately it takes a lot for me to want to cry from a book, but this book did it for me. This one just pulls at my heartstrings, you guys. I will definitely be finishing the series. It's one of my goals to do it this year. I just have one more left and I heard that it is amazing. I ended up giving this one 5 stars. Obviously, I am in a fantasy kick. I read The Rites of the Starling. I actually did the audiobook. I did an immersive read for this one. This one, I apologize for me ever talking crap about what's the first one called? The Shield of Sparrows. I did not like that book because that one was I felt like it was a lot of world building in the beginning, and someone on my TikTok video was like, you need to stop saying that world building is bad. I never said that, okay, first of all, but I feel like there's just times where like, that's just not what I'm looking for. That's not what I'm vibing. But now Devney Perry, I see why you did that in the first book. I ate this one up. Okay, with Shield of Sparrows, I feel like the first like 80% of the book is a lot of world building. You're just kind of like getting to know the characters, all these monsters and stuff, but like it's the last 15-20% that you're just like, what the fuck just happened? And that's where this book immediately starts off. I did the regular audiobook for this one and it was fantastic, absolutely great. The narrator who did Ramson is just chef's kiss. This is one of those books where I was wondering like, what is going on? I'm so confused, like Patrick Star, who are you people? But like also at the same time, I'm like, I kind of get where everything's going. This book had me asking so many questions and had me at the edge of my seat, and when we got to the end, I was just like, oh my god, it all makes sense. I almost wanted to go back to Shield of Sparrows to reread it and then go back into this book knowing now what, like, who and what everything is. I'm gonna just like leave that here, and that's all I'm gonna say about this book. But once you read it, please come talk to me. This was a 5-star, this was 6 stars. It was like infinity stars. Now, moving back to romance, I read Bourbon and Secrets. This is a great palate cleanser book in my opinion. So in this book, we have a single dad who's like obviously super hot and he has 2 daughters. And then the female main character, her name is Faye, and she's like an undercover FBI agent. And she's like disguised as a burlesque dancer, and it's amazing. I've never met someone like that in a book before. This is a small town suspenseful romance book in a town that has a lot of secrets, which if you couldn't tell by the title of the book. And in this town, there's a lot of shady things going on. So that's where the undercover FBI agent comes in and tries to like figure out everything. This, if you love Catherine Cowles, I think you would really love this series. And if you're gonna do this, I definitely recommend the audiobook. It's fantastic. So this one is available on Kindle Limited. And the little trick is that when you check it out on Kindle Limited, then go back to the page on your browser and you'll get like a huge discount for the audiobook. And the audiobook ended up being something like 5 something for me, which is such a good deal for me. I was like, okay, say no more. So definitely check it out. I give this one 4 stars. After that, I read Thrive by Becca and Krista Ritchie. This is, I think book number 6. Let me just pull out the entire books, you guys. There's more to the series. I just don't have the ones that I haven't read yet. So let me try to figure this out. This entire universe is comprised of 2 different series, the Addicted series and the Calloway Sister series. And Thrive is book number 6 technically, and there's a specific reading order for this entire universe. But what happens, and if I can show it correctly, this book, Thrive, is a retelling of what happens in these two books, but in Lily and Lo's perspective. So Lily is the sex addict and Lo is the alcohol addict. And I think I just come to realize like I don't like retellings, like, and I found myself skimming a lot of this book. So would I recommend this book? I would say yes. There is a portion in this book where you get Lily's perspective on like a huge life-changing event that you don't get in the other books you've read in the series. So just for that fact alone, I think it's worth it. I will definitely be continuing the series. I think there's like still 4 books left, so wish me luck. Then afterwards, I read The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Oh my god. I did an immersive read of the audiobook and the physical book, and I just thought it was absolutely amazing. So this is centered around the Trojan War from the perspective of Patroclus, and then he meets Achilles and he becomes his companion. And while this isn't really like a romance book, there is a subplot romance of Achilles and Patroclus, and I just absolutely love seeing them grow individually and also together and seeing their relationship form over the years and years. But so imagine you know how you're gonna die and you don't want to die and you're trying to prolong it as much as possible because number 1, your pride gets in the way, and number 2, you just want to be with your love of your life for as long as possible. So that is what basically the base of the story is about. So for me personally, I don't know much or anything at all about Greek mythology. Tell me why I was like thinking about the Emperor's New Groove in this book entire time. Anyway, I've never watched Troy or read the book The Iliad, so I was going in pretty blind, and I think because of that I wouldn't say it ruined the experience for me. I just feel like I couldn't appreciate this to its fullest extent. I feel like if I had a little bit more knowledge or background information, I think I would have enjoyed it a little bit better, especially when it came to the war and understanding like who's who, knowing who are all the gods and their personalities and what they're meant to do. And I think that's the only reason why I gave this book a 4-star instead of 5 stars. So similar to Honeysuckle, I feel like this is a really character-driven story. So if you don't like that, then I feel like you might not enjoy this book as much. But I feel like this is such a great book. It pulled on my heartstrings and made me so emotional. Not me looking up how to pronounce the author's name. But after that, I read Monstrilio by Gerardo, Samano, Cordova. Hopefully I did his name justice. This is such an amazing and also the weirdest book I've ever read in my entire life. I give this one 5 stars, okay? This is weird. So it's about a boy who dies and his mother and dad are grieving, but his mom, she's batshit crazy and she goes into full cadaver mode and she like opens and cuts him up and takes out a piece of his lung. Yeah, you heard me. And it doesn't stop there. He keeps a piece of his lung in a jar, and she hears about this folklore story and a story where like somebody started feeding a piece of that body part, and the body part started to grow. And so then she was like, I'm getting some ideas. So she started feeding her little piece of lung from her dead son like some chicken broth and then like some veggies, and then it started to, you know, in fact grow and grow, and it became a little monster named Monstrilio. It's insane. Initially when I was reading and starting this book, I was like, okay, I feel like this book is about grief, but in the end I feel like this story, and I feel like it can be interpreted so many different ways, but I feel like this is a story about everyone is a little monster inside, and we're all just finding a place to be accepted in this world and trying to find our identity. I think everybody in our own way is a monster with just like a mask or a face and a different body, and we're always trying to like emulate other people. I feel like just me, I don't know, I really relate to that. I don't really relate to like the story or the characters, but I kind of relate to that portion. So this one has 4 different POVs, 4 different sections. I have so much love for the characters. They're all so insane. Also, everyone is fucking gay in this book. So everyone starts off like heterosexual, then it starts to become a little bit gayer, and it gets gayer and gayer and gayer. So I actually love that part of this book. I've never read anything like this. I ate it up. I don't recommend it for every single person. I'd say if you don't like the sound of the story already, then don't, you know, just take a hard pass. But if you're looking for a book that'll make you question a lot of things and have your jaw on the floor, then look no further. I gave this one 5 stars. And then I ended off April with Check and Mate by Hazelwood. I did the audiobook version of this. I think I've read almost all of Allie's books, and I think it's just this one that was left and her other novellas, which I have not read so far. I found this signed copy at the Rip Bodice one day, so I had to get it. And I love Allie Hazelwood so much, but I unfortunately did not love this book. I ended up giving it 3 stars. It's about a girl who's a chess player, and she decides to go into her very last chess tournament for the rest of her life. She decides to go through it only because the cash prize is like a shit ton of money, and she's like, I could definitely use that for my mom to help pay for bills and stuff like that. I don't know, you guys. I've heard that an audiobook can either really make or break a book, and same thing, like a book might not be really good, but the audiobook is, and that like makes it a better book. I feel like I was in the situation where the audiobook was just not my cup of tea. I thought that the narrator's voice was a little like high pitched and a little monotonous and just felt kind of flat for me. I was just not enjoying it, unfortunately, but I feel like the story itself is very cute. It's very alley coded in terms of, obviously, well, actually doesn't have any of the smut because this is YA, but it has like the struggles of being a female in a certain like competitive environment and how women are not treated as equal. So I wish that if I could go back in time, I would just do the physical version of this book. But if you're gonna read it, just do the physical, you guys. Don't do the audio. And there you have it, you guys. I feel like overall, April was a pretty good month, especially considering like I had Coachella and I got sick afterwards. So I feel like 11 books is still really good for me. I would say that there was a lot of mixing of genres in here. I feel like I'm starting to leave my romance predominant world and starting to read romance as part of like a palette cleanser or a filler book. So I'm excited to see what May brings for me, which I cannot believe. I want to film a video about my TBR of like lit fic books, so excited for that. Look out for that about like in the next week or two. Mark my words, I'm going to film and post that. But thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got some good book recommendations out of this. Let me know what your favorite book was in April, and until the next one, I will see you later. Bye!